Why is it acceptable for a doctor to take you 30 minutes late, but a patient's appointment is cancelled if they show up 10 minutes late? So a lot of people are missing some crucial pieces here. But here's the whole summary. 1. Unexpected things. A lot of people did touch on this. Sometimes the patient prior to you drops a bomb mid-appointment, or even worse, when your hand is on the door to leave. If someone is here for wrist pain and then goes, "Oh yeah, chest hurts real bad every time I exercise," you cannot ignore that. They could have a life-threatening concern. So now your 15 minutes appointment becomes 30. 2. Other people running late. I don't mean just patients. A clinic involves a lot of people. Patients, front desk, nurses, MOS, etc., etc. If one runs late, so do the others. 3. Paperwork. Y'all are seriously underestimating how much paperwork needs to be done. Every single patient has to have a note typed out. A diagnosis, usually multiple, made. Everything you order has to be justified and associated with a diagnosis, even things like flu shots or med reorders. Everything you order has to be confirmed as correct. Meds and lab work have to be confirmed to the correct insurance. You might have to get a printout of your referral/visit summary. Doctors work very, very hard to do as much of this as they go. But it cannot always be done. Also, lots of people get annoyed if a doctor is typing while they talk. So then you cannot do any of this as you go. 3. They don't make the schedule. The majority of doctors are not in charge of booking patients. They hire people specifically for that. Doctors get overbooked. And because the clinic or hospital they work for cares about, they make doctors see as many people as possible. Doctors usually have set amounts of time depending on the appointment type. And you can't always just add a random 10 minutes here or there. I promise you the majority of doctors would rather have more time to talk to you too and aren't trying to just see you as a cash cow. But it is literally out of their control. 4. You can technically wait to be seen. They can't wait to see people. Does it suck if you've been living with indigestion and your appointment to finally see the doctor about it got cancelled? Absolutely, and it's okay to be mad about that. But nobody died from an upset stomach. And as aforementioned, late patients simply have no room in the schedule because it's tightly regulated. If what you tell the office you need to be seen for is important enough, the doctor won't cancel your appointment. And now you're why the next patient is being seen late. But C1. Unexpected stuff. 5. A lot of offices still really push to get late people in. We really want to see you. And we'll do what we can. But it isn't always possible. 6. Doctors have lives too. Every late appointment makes it harder and harder to get home on time, eat lunch, pee, etc. Doctors don't owe you their well-being. I probably missed some stuff, but the way medical offices run is a pretty complex issue, and while it could be handled better, a lot of it has nothing to do with the doctor. If your doctor always runs late and that bothers you, go see a new one. But I promise most of them are trying their best to keep everybody happy, including themselves. Physician here. This is the best answer in this thread. Thanks for taking the time to explain all of that. The basic answer nobody wants to hear but remains true. Because the doctor's time is more valuable than the patient's. Appointment slots are a scarce resource compared to the people who want them. You show up early so reception can have your paperwork done and possibly have a brief pre-appointment check with a nurse to minimize the time the doctor has to spend with you so they can see more people in a day. It doesn't matter if that works out fabulously for greedy docs. It's still true that there's far more demand by patients than there is a supply of doctors. Hence cancellation fees, to dissuade you from not taking it seriously and leaving a gap in the doctor's schedule where someone else could have been seen if there had been enough time to book someone else in your place. There's also the fact that the doctor almost always has better reasons for being late than the patient. The guy above already explained all the reasons the doctor can be late seeing. Whereas with the patient being late, 9 times out of 10, it's just personal irresponsibility. Sure, life sometimes happens. And that's the 1 out of 10. Almost always it's just because you weren't responsible or considerate enough to leave on time. In my area it's completely normal to wait 4/5 hours past the appointment time. I personally don't mind an appointment being up to an hour late, but 5 hours is unacceptable. Where is that? I'm not up. But in Eastern Europe that's pretty much expected every time you have an appointment. Especially if the doctor is also a municipal representative, surprisingly a quite common thing over here. So, you mean that local politics and personal medicine go hand in hand in some areas of Eastern Europe? That seems like a situation doomed to cause problems for individual freedom. Imagine if the local municipal judge or chief of police was also the most visited doctor in the area. All of the personal information that can be used against you. The ability to be framed for crimes or have your own physiology used against you. By the very municipal workers that know your personal health. The ability to manipulate people drastically raises. Eastern Europe gets like that. A good doctor will not rush through a patient that requires a bit more time. If you aren't that type of patient, consider yourself blessed. When you become that type of patient, feel blessed you have a doctor that gives you that time. I'm so glad my therapist was able to give me a little time over the hour when I really needed it. I feel bad for the people after those appointments, but now I'm not upset when he's several minutes late to me. Previous patients coming in late is part of the reason that you have to wait 30 minutes for the doctor. Was going to say this if someone else hadn't already. They're not late to see patients because they're dilly-dallying, although maybe some are. It's 'cause after they see a patient there's a huge amount of paperwork that has to be done, patient notes, booking tests/further appointments, writing referrals/prescriptions, etc. The appointment doesn't end when the parent leaves the room. The patient doesn't dismiss you, the paperwork does. Because the doctor is providing a service and there is a limited amount of time in their day. If they take you late, then that can affect every other patient for the day. You have no connection to the other patients. So you don't get a pass for inconveniencing them. The doctor, on the other hand, has to see the patients. Everyone at the office is connected to the doctor. If you want to cancel your appointment because the doctor is late, you can do that. If you want to see a different doctor, you can do that too. Doctors have emergencies. Just like the rest of us. They can't time travel. So you either wait for them to see you, or you don't wait. You can choose. 2. If you have an emergency, just reschedule. If you go to the grocery store, and they don't have milk, you can wait until they get some. Or you can go to a different store. You can't make them produce milk. It's kind of like asking why it's okay for a bus to be behind schedule, and not okay that it didn't wait for you to walk to the stop. This is the best answer in the thread. It sums up exactly why Ops' approach would lead to a worse service for everyone. Seems it's already been answered. I experienced sort of a miniature version of this when I was a pizza delivery driver. I served a large campus and it would not be uncommon for me to have multiple, sometimes up to and occasionally over a dozen people's orders with me. Usually they'd be spread out over 4 or 5 buildings and I'd coordinate it to where people would meet me downstairs at a set time. It would take just one person dragging their feet at the first dorms for the people at the next one to get irritated. and often people would go back to their rooms after a few minutes. Further compounding the effect. If I had a perfect run, I could complete it in 15 minutes. Often it would take 30 minutes or more road time. Not total order to door time.